Boker Tov. It's an exciting morning as we are going to be finishing Megilat Esther today with the Pirush of the Gaon of Vilna. So it's a very big accomplishment. Baruch Hashem. Thank you for being part of it. Yeah, maybe. Okay, here we go. Perek Yud, Pasuk Aleph. Vayasem HaMelech Achashverosh mas al haaretz v'yeyam. After the whole story, Achashverosh put taxes on the land and on the islands. So what does this have? This is a full pasuk. What does this have to tell us? So the Gaon of Vilna explains two things. Number one is the land and the islands. He says that the 127 countries that he ruled over was actually 100 countries and 27 islands. Okay, but what does this mean that the taxes were placed? So he says that now things went back to normal, and we learned a very important lesson in history with this. Is that Bnei Israel, and mentioned this many times, we see now what's going on. We're on the defense. People look at us like we're on the offense, but we're on the defense. If people don't mess with us, we don't want to mess with anyone. Just leave me alone. Let me do my Judaism thing, and just leave me alone. Right? If you come to hurt me, I have to defend myself, and you have to get rid of my enemy. You have to do what I got to do. But leave me alone. And what happens when you leave me alone? You know what? Things are prosperous. And taxes get back to normal, things get back to normal, prosperity, etc. We saw that in Spain, everything was nice and prosperous, even in Germany prior to the war. And when things are good, then things are good. Look, in the United States, for the most part, things have been good. They're not messing with us, and maybe they're messing with us in a roundabout way through assimilation. But in general, when they're calm with us, then we're calm with them. So the Gaon of Vilna explains, when taxes are back in place, things were back in place after the whole story. It wasn't like, oh nice, Haman went down, let us Jews conquer the world now and take over more or something like that. No, that's it. We got rid of our enemy and life goes on. All the entire strength of the story, Parashat Gedulat Mordechai, and the parasha of the raising up of Mordechai, Asher Gidelo HaMelech, that the king elevated him to a very high level. Halohem ketuvim al sefer divrei hayamim lemalchet madai uparas. They're written in more detail on the chronicles of Madai and Paras. In the kingdom of Achashverosh, Persian, Paras, the Persian, Madai, the Median. So if you want to know more details of the elevation of Mordechai, there's more details written there. Where's that book today? Not sure. But more details, says in Megillah. Meaning the details that we brought to you here was necessary for Bnei Israel for the generations. But if you want to know more details of how much they raised up Mordechai to high levels, you could find that in the chronicles of Paras and Madai. And here the pasuk says, Tokfo ugvurato. Tokif is strength, Gevura is strength. So the difference is, someone that has a takfut, a tokfo, is strength where people follow his actions. So that's v'chol ma'aseh tokfo. So when a person is let's say a leader and a strong leader, but people follow him, that's tokfo. Ugvurato is when a person is higher than his friend and not necessarily do they follow. But it's gevura, it's from a higher level. Like, wow, okay, that's too high for him. He's way above me. I can't really connect. Tokfo is a strong level where they connect and they do his words. And gevura. So there was both of those elements in Mordechai, where he was a very high leader that was in the high class eventually. Okay, he was too far away from me, but at the same time, he also took full. The people did his will. And the last pasuk describes Mordechai. Ki Mordechai Yehudi Mishneh LaMelech Achashverosh. Mordechai the Jew, he was second to the king Achashverosh. The Gadol Yehudim, he was also great for the Jews. You don't think that if he was second to the king, maybe, okay, in the eyes of the Jews, he wasn't. No, he was still very great in the eyes of the Jews. V'ratzui lerov echav. And he was accepted and loved by, now here's a way how to explain this. Lerov echav, meaning maybe to the plenty of his brothers. You could look at it like that. Or, as she says, he was loved by majority of his brothers, but not all. Why? What does it mean? He wasn't loved by all? So Rashi says that he was a very big tzaddik. He was Talmid Chacham. He was part of the Sanhedrin. He was part of the high court. But this whole story that he got closer to Achashverosh, closer to the Persian king, he was still loved by majority of people, but among the high court, among the Talmidei Chachamim, he went down a little because he was spending too much time, I guess. Batel mitalmudo, he went down from his learning, and therefore majority of the people recognized his greatness and were connected, but minority were not so fond because he now was mevatel his Talmud. We see something amazing about Mordechai. The next words, Doresh tov le'amo v'dover shalom l'chol zaro. He spoke good about his nation and spoke words of peace to all of his children, and children here means his entire nation. So here it says, he spoke good of all of the nation. Hold on a second, Mordechai. Majority were great with you. There's a minority, Mordechai. But you spoke good about everyone. That's the greatness of Mordechai. He spoke good about everyone, even though there was still a minority that maybe didn't appreciate his greatness. And that's the Rashi's explanation. The Gaon has a different explanation in Ratzu de Rov Echav. He says as follows: Mishneh LaMelech, second to the king, is in this world, in physical things. He was great for the Jews because he was a great leader in Torah. Ratzui LeRov Echav is referring to Chokhmah. Ratzui is Vayafek Ratzon MeHashem. So that's Matzah Isha Matzah Tov, Vayafek Ratzon MeHashem. That's the word Ratzon, Ratzui, also has to do with Chokhmah. The person finds a wife, the person finds greatness, and now through a wife actually greater Chokhmah could come about. So the Ratzui connects to Chokhmah, and therefore, why is he with Chokhmah? Only majority of his brothers, because only maybe a majority could maybe they understood Torah. Maybe there's a minority that didn't connect to Torah, and they couldn't connect to Mordechai on that level. Doresh Tov, he had Maasim Tovim, he had good actions. But Dover Shalom, he had Middot Tovot. So here the Gaon points out that there's two qualities here that talk about his Torah, Gadola Yehudim, and Ratzu LeRov Echav, and two that talk about his Midot, Maasim Tovim, Doresh Tov, and Dover Shalom. And he says that the Midot Tovot are very, very important. And they are, he says, Yoter Mikulan. They're more than everything else. Because, he says, how do we know this? The Midot are not written specifically in the Torah. It doesn't say in the Torah, Asur to be angry. It doesn't say in the Torah, you must be humble. It doesn't say that in the actual Torah. But all the mitzvot connect to it. And they are like the clothing for the mitzvot. And that's what the Gemara says it. If a person gets angry, it's like you served idols. Served idols? What does it mean? The Torah would have written, don't get angry. No, because you have to realize that the Torah, the mitzvot, is to make us better people, make us have better midot. And when you get angry, that means that you don't believe that what happened is from Hashem. If you don't believe what happens from Hashem, then you believe in idols. Also, if you speak Lashon Hara, it's as if you're kofer ba'ikar. It's as if you don't believe in God. What do you mean? If I speak Lashon Hara, it's as if I don't believe in God? Well, you're talking bad about this person. It means you think that when God created this person, he created him bad, he created him. Are you trying to go against God's creation? Trying to go against what God did? You're going against God? That's as if. So the midot are so important. And the last one that's mentioned here is Dover Shalom l'chol zaro. Shalom is the kli kibul, is the vessel that accepts all the midot. And he says that Shalom, that's why Hashem Yevarech et Amu B'Shalom, Hashem bless us with peace. Right? And also, Oseh Shalom Yiravu Yaseh Shalom Alenu. Shalom is so important that Shalom, when a person has Shalom, there's peace with people, peace with his wife, peace with his family, peace with his community. Then you're able to accept the Torah. You're able to. It's just everything's going good, nice and peaceful with everyone. Then that's like a vessel that could accept all the midot. He says you see this as well with Birkat Kohanim. Birkat Kohanim, there's 15 words. But in the 15 words, the Kohanim only move, unfortunately we haven't had Birkat Kohanim in a while, but the Kohanim only move 7 times. Why are they moving for? When they move, that means they're blessing the whole community, everybody here. That means you got to make sure to be in front of the Kohanim, because if let's say the Kohen was here, you're over there, you're not getting the bracha. You got to be at least on the same side as him, but for sure in front of him. So when he's moving, it's only 7 times. Where Yivarechecha, the blessing words. Yivarechecha, he bless you. He moves around. Hashem, he doesn't move. V'ishmerecha, he should guard you. So he moves around, right? So you have Yivarechecha, Ishmerecha. And then, Ya'er Hashem panav elecha. May God shine his countenance, his face, so to speak, on you, elecha. That's all the chaz at the end, because it's talking to you. V'yichuneka, and you should have chen and grace. Then Yisa Hashem panav elecha, Hashem shall raise his face to you, elecha. Ve'yasem, and he shall place lecha on you, shalom, peace. So he says, you look at this, you have to look at it like 6 and 1. Shalom is the encapsulating bracha at the end. The 6 and 1, 5 is keneged the 5 books of the Torah. The 6th is Middot Tovot. That's the 6th. It says 5 and 1 is the Torah, Middot Tovot. If you have that all together, then you have Shalom. That's what he explains the connection to Birkat Kohanim. So too, he says the last word in the Mishnayot of Shas is the word Shalom. The first Masechet is Masechet Brachot. So the Shalom, Bracha, and the first Seder, the first category of Mishnayot is Seder Zeraim, where you have that tzaddik, through his actions, is like zera, is like seed, and sprouts out good deeds. It's the last pasuk, so he has a lot more written here. 2 more minutes, don't worry. Now he talks about Mordechai. Mordechai, yeah, we're early today. Baruch Hashem, good chazan. Mordechai, all the chazanim are good. All the good chazanim are good. Slicha. So Mordechai, he was a leader in we said in the physical with the Chashverosh and the spiritual Torah. And he received this from his mother's side, Shevet Yehuda, his father's side, Shevet Binyamin. He gets into the details of the connections to it, but he was able, through where he came from, he was able to reach a very high level. He was considered a chacham and a navon. A chacham is a wisdom. So it's like imagine a person has a granary and you store all the grain. So it's a storehouse. So a chacham is wise. You get. Navon, from the word of binah, is now you could give it over. Now you could explain this chokhmah. Now you could judge people. Now you could be a leader. You could use this chokhmah in the proper way. I don't just gain it for myself. Now I could use it. And the last thing, he explains, V'dover shalom l'chol zaro. He spoke peace to all of his nation. As a leader, second command, Mordechai, he brings us from the Midrash, forged many alliances with other nations, that now that we breed Haman, make sure no other enemy is going to come up against us. And he spoke peace among other nations, make peace treaties, I don't know if Abraham Accords, but he made peace treaties with other nations around to make sure that everything was peaceful for Bnei Israel. Bezrat Hashem, may we soon see the ultimate peace in Bnei Israel. Mashiach tzidkenu b'mira v'yamenu. Amen. Chazak u'baruch. Baruch Adonai le'olam. Amen ve'amen. Rabbi Hananiah ben Akashya אומר רצה הקדוש ברוך הוא לזכות את צדפיך חיבה להם תורה מצווה שנאמר אדוני חפץ זמן צדקו יגדיל תורה וידיר